In the heart of Los Angeles, there was a restaurant that looked like an ordinary eatery from the outside, but inside, it was filled with surprises. This restaurant bore the signature of the famous comedian and television host, Steve Harvey. It wasn't just about the food. It was about life, business, and personal success as well. One evening, the restaurant was bustling. Every table was filled with people enjoying their meals, and the waitstaff was running around, quickly serving orders. However, in the far corner of the restaurant, Steve Harvey was sitting, eating in relative silence, unnoticed by anyone. Steve, the owner of the restaurant, sometimes chose to sit like a regular customer without revealing his identity. That evening, he did just that, sitting quietly, blending into the background. A new waitress named Lisa was working her first evening shift. She was excited, but also a little nervous. She wanted everything to go perfectly, but since she didn't notice the man sitting in the corner, she didn't approach him to take his order. It was only when she noticed the strange man that she realized who he was. It was Steve Harvey. But by then, it was too late. Lisa, despite recognizing him, didn't realize it was Steve at first, so she simply went up to take his order as she would any other customer. At that moment, she was making one of the biggest mistakes of her life. Lisa walked over to Steve Harvey's table with a professional attitude, but she was rushing. "What would you like to order?" she asked, treating him like just another ordinary customer. Steve looked up at her. There was a hint of sadness in his eyes, but also deep confidence. "First of all, do you know who I am?" he asked. Lisa responded, a bit stunned. "Yes, of course. But right now, I'm just here to take your order." Steve closed his eyes for a moment and then opened them, responding calmly, "No, Lisa. I didn't come here just to eat. I came here as a business owner and a teacher." And you should have realized that. Lisa was silent for a moment. What did he mean? She was just doing her job, right? But Steve Harvey didn't change his tone and continued speaking. "You say you know me, but the most important thing isn't seeing what I do. It's understanding who I am. People aren't just here to eat and leave, Lisa. I have something to teach you, something I've been waiting to share with you and the other staff. This isn't just about delivering food, it's about understanding the role you play in the bigger picture." Lisa stood still, confused. She thought she understood her role, but now, it seemed, there was more to it than she realized. That evening, the restaurant was busy, and Lisa was going through her usual routine, serving orders to the customers. However, Steve's words kept echoing in her mind. But she wasn't sure what to do with this information. Slowly, she made her way back to Steve's table. She had to address the situation to make things right. "Steve," she said, this time with more confidence, "I think you're right. I made a big mistake tonight, but I still don't get it. Why are you being so harsh? Is it really right to expect everyone to understand this right away?" Steve took a deep breath and stood up. He walked a few steps towards her, looking her directly in the eyes as he spoke. "Lisa, success is a matter of understanding timing and making the right decisions at the right moment. A decision made at the right time can change your life. What you did wasn't a huge mistake, but repeating it will get you nowhere. Now, you need to understand this. To do things the right way, you have to always be a step ahead." Lisa shook her head and took a deep breath. She wasn't sure how to process his words. This time, she felt like she might finally be getting it. The next evening, the restaurant was even more packed. Lisa was still reflecting on the lessons Steve had taught her. She wasn't just waiting tables anymore. She was beginning to understand that she was part of something much bigger. But there was still uncertainty inside her. What was she supposed to do with this new knowledge? Finally, She approached Steve's table once again. She was ready to ask him something she had been thinking about for hours. "Steve," she said, nervously but determined, "I've been thinking a lot about what you said. But I don't understand, why did you have to be so harsh with me? Isn't it enough that I'm doing my job? Isn't that enough?" Steve took another deep breath, giving her a calm and reassuring smile. "Lisa, being good at your job is just the start. You can't limit yourself to just performing a task. You need to understand the bigger picture. A person who only focuses on their job is never going to be a leader. You have to see beyond your role. Every successful person has had to look past what they do and realize what they can give to others." Lisa paused. Steve's words were beginning to sink in. She was starting to see the bigger picture. It wasn't just about serving food or doing her job well. It was about how she could contribute to the success of the entire restaurant. Weeks passed, and Lisa's attitude began to change. She started paying attention to the restaurant's operations, not just her own duties. She began to understand the importance of every role in the restaurant, from the kitchen staff to the managers. Steve Harvey had taught her that the key to success wasn't just about doing a job. It was about understanding the entire business and how every part of it came together to create success. Lisa started to see herself as more than just a waitress. She was now a part of the team that made the restaurant successful. She saw how everything was interconnected, and she worked harder, applying the lessons she had learned from Steve Harvey. She had once believed that her job was just about serving food, but now she understood that it was about creating an experience for every customer and contributing to the overall success of the business. Her perspective had shifted, and with it, her approach to work and life as a whole. Steve Harvey, who had started as just another customer, had taught Lisa one of the most important lessons of all. True success comes from understanding and managing the bigger picture, from learning to be ahead of the curve, and from using every opportunity as a stepping stone to something greater. As for Steve, he continued to watch the restaurant flourish, knowing that he had not only created a place for people to eat, but a place where lessons were learned and lives were changed.